cosmic consciousness, extraterrestrials and UFOs, sacred geometry, ancient civilizations, spiritual connection, the quantum universe. All of these topics and so much more with your host, Sev Tuck, on Alien Spirit with Sev.
Hello, welcome to Alien Spirit. I'm Sev. My guest today is Kevin Briggs. Kevin is an author, a speaker, and an experiencer. He writes and speaks about ET contact, consciousness, and its connection to ETs and UFOs. Kevin's book, Spiritual Consciousness, A Personal Journey, is about his 62 years of ET contact. He describes the first time he met two ET beings when he was a little boy, with whom he maintains communication to this day, and he knows them as the Council of Eight. We will discuss the information and the messages the Council gives Kevin. Kevin has also co-authored the book, Tap into Universal Energy, and he is active in Rebecca Hardcastle Wright's Exoconscious community, speaking regularly on their YouTube channel. Kevin speaks at conferences, he's interviewed around the world, and he will be appearing in an upcoming movie called A Greater Reality. Please welcome, everybody, Kevin Briggs.
Hi, Sev. Thank you for that introduction. I don't realize how much I'm doing, but when somebody reads it out like that, it's just amazing. So thank you, and thank you for inviting me on your show. It's a great honor to be here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Kevin. Kevin and I have been friends for a few years. We met through Kathy Martin when I went down to Florida. Kevin's in Florida to meet Kathy, and then Kevin and I had lunch one day. And also another time I was at Kathy Martin's house, and Kevin came and he did a channeling, which I want to talk about. Let's first begin with where you were born, where you were raised, and what you were interested in growing up.
Oh, okay. I thought you was going to ask that question, but yeah, I was born in Wakefield in the UK. That's the north of England. I did different types of work when I left school. I became a technician at the university, and then I left the university and became a police officer in the UK for 20 years. Yeah. And then I left that job, I retired. I moved to Florida and I started a business in real estate, and I still sell real estate to this day. So I've had three areas, and I'm also an author, as you mentioned, and appeared in a couple of documentaries and things. So yeah, quite varied, really. When I look back, I think, wow, what a varied life. And my hobbies, one of my hobbies was sailing. I love sailing, and I've sailed all around the Greek islands because it was not too far from the UK, and we used to go down there 2 or 3 times a year, around all the islands. So yeah, that was my main hobby, really. And keeping fit. When I was younger, I was into fitness as well, but that helped with the job, being in the police force, staying fit and healthy. So yeah, so quite varied. It's gone by so quickly. I noticed you emphasised the 62 years there, so I did notice that. But it's gone by so quickly, and now I'm involved with helping to facilitate the reveal globally of our ET star family's presence. So that keeps me busy, and I appear on many podcasts and things, and I meet people like you.
So tell us how you met the two beings from the Council of Eight and what that has developed into.
Okay, well, I first met them when I was a young boy. I was always sensitive to the other frequencies that are surrounding us. And on this occasion, I was 8 years old. I was taking a bath at home. There was a change in the frequency in the bathroom, and I looked to my right, and two beings appeared, both very attractive, one male, one female. Both had long, blonde, shoulder-length hair. They had deep blue eyes, and as I say, they were very attractive, and they were wearing a tight-fitting jumpsuit-type garment. They were speaking telepathically to one another. Their names are Ort and Dee. And I remember the part of the conversation, Dee said to Ort, "Is this the boy?" And Ort said, "Yes, this is the boy." And then she said, "Are you sure?" And he said, yes, this is the boy. And she questioned him again and said, "But look at him. He's small, he's uneducated, and he's frightened by our presence." And she was correct. I was terrified. And he said, "No, this is a boy. I will guide him. I will teach him." There was some other confirmation there. And then they left. I was so frightened, I'd exited out of the bath. My mother came in to see why I was still in the bath. I told her about the two beings, and she said it was just my imagination. It wasn't. I'm still in contact with them to this day, and they've educated me in consciousness and all the modalities that consciousness are used for, such as communication, travel, healing, education, creation, and co-creation, to where now I understand consciousness to a level where I can communicate with them at their level of consciousness. And the only difference between the dimensions are the frequencies of consciousness themselves. And they gave me an equation for calculating the frequencies of consciousness for each dimension, which appears in Ray Hernandez's new book, A Greater Reality.
Mm-hmm. When Ort, and we have some drawings of Ort and Dee, and also another member of the Council of Eight, but when Ort said to Dee, "Yeah, this is a boy," doesn't that imply that there's a history there? And what do you think that history is?
It does imply there's a history. I don't remember any history with Ort and Dee. I do remember 3 past lives from when I was a child, and I've explored them when I was a child, and I've been shown my next incarnation. So interesting, but I don't seem to have a link with Ort and Dee in the past lives. But now I just realized something. Now you asked that. Ra, he's a member of the Council of Eight. He's a Anunnaki, very old. He told me that he was alive in our ancient Egyptian times. One of my past lives, I was a high priest at the Temple of Karnak. And at that time, the 7 sisters from the Pleiades systems were the ones doing the creations, the co-creation for humanity. And I was the liaison officer, shall we say, for the 7 Pleiades. So I suspect there's a connection there. I hadn't twigged on it before, but I suspect that it. And I was speaking to a friend of mine a few weeks ago, and she has contact with the Pleiades. And as I was talking to her, an orb appeared behind her, and then another, and then another. And then 5, 6, 7 orbs. Some more appeared, and then they started circling around her. They went above her head and created a portal. So that was our star families from the Pleiades system showing themselves to me. So I suspect that is probably the connection there that I have with past star families, possibly, but I don't have a specific memory of it now.
Where are the Council of Eight from?
They vary. Ort and Dee are 5th dimensional, they tell me. They are Arcturian, and they
There's
are
Art.
Yeah, that's it. And then they are guides and teachers. That's what they do. Anna, I don't know where she's from. She's a blue bird type being. Zark is from the Pleiades system. I know him quite well. He's a mathematician and engineer. He designs propulsion systems. He has a sense of humor. He messes with my wife at home. He moves her personal items around the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I know he's got a sense of humor. And Tag is a tall grey. Oh, you've got Tag there. I don't know where Tag is from. I don't have a great deal of contact with him, other than when I met him when I was 14. He told me that he was responsible not only for the security of the Council of Eight, but he was responsible for the security of this quadrant of the galaxy, which I thought was quite interesting.
Oh, okay. Let's also tell everyone who drew these very beautiful pictures.
Okay, a good friend of mine, Aurora Belcia, now she started channeling after going to a C5 event at a friend of ours, Gary, and after that she started drawing, and channeled these. And before that, she said, I couldn't draw a stick figure. So now she's channeled all 8. She has a description of them, and hopefully we're going to put them in a book with some other information so we can get them out of there. She's very talented, and she's happy to share the artwork with other people and things. So I thought we'd probably put that in a book so other people, because Aurora did tell me that there are energies within the portraits, and when you look at them, you can identify those energies, and there's communication in there from the Council of 8 to others, and people that see them identify different things in there. And if you listen to Aurora talk about them, the amount of information that she received as she was drawing these portraits was just amazing, really. In fact, I think in there might be the Pleiades system, a star system in there. Although,
in the background of this one?
Yeah, in the background of it. I don't know if there was some other information there about planets and the Pleiades and all sorts of stuff within. Because bear in mind, these are channeled. She's receiving the information as she's drawing the portraits.
So when is the first time you were consciously aware of channeling the Council of 8?
Okay, that's an unusual story. I was asked a few years ago to go down to a a conference in Orlando. And I went down there.
Did you say MUFON?
MUFON, yes.
Okay.
MUFON. And when I was there, I met Dr. Melanie Barton. Just accidentally, I went to get a sandwich at lunchtime, and the cafeteria was full, and I saw one seat on a table. So I went to, there was 2 ladies there. I said, do you mind if I sit down and eat my sandwich? And they said no, so I sat down. And then after they'd finished their conversation, they brought me into the conversation, and we started talking about the ETs and my experiences. Through that, I met Kathleen Marden, who you've had on your show, and we all met for lunch. There was me, Kathleen Marden, Denise Stoner, and someone else. We met for lunch, and then after we'd finished lunch, Kathleen invited us back to her home. She lives about 10 minutes from where I live. So we all went back there, and then she was asking me about my experiences. So I started relaying some information that I'd been given, and I think it was Denise who said, Kevin, do you realize you're channeling? No, she didn't. She said, do you realize what you're doing? I said, no, what am I doing? She said, you're channeling information. So from that, we then decided to come to my house. This is the interesting bit. On a Saturday, and we did this for 2 years. They came to my house. There was Kathy, Denise, and Melanie, Dr. Melanie Barton. Melanie did a meditation and said, let's see if we can connect with the extraterrestrials. So she did the meditation. We finished the meditation. And then Melanie said, did anybody get any information or any contact with the extraterrestrials? And everybody said no. She said, what about you, Kevin? I said, no, I didn't get anything at all. She said, oh, are you sure? I said, yeah, well, nothing really. I said, except there's a male stood in front of me just to the right. I can feel his frequency. And Melanie said, who is it? I said, I don't know. And she said, well, ask him. So I asked him, and it was Art, and he spoke through me for 40 minutes. And that was the first time that I channeled. And I was exhausted after that. I've got used to it now. But that was the first time I channeled. So what they did, they led me down to the MUFON conference so I could meet Dr. Melanie Barton, Kathleen Marden, and Denise Stoner to continue on in my journey. And in fact, Kathleen Marden's got a book. I'll just mention it because she's a good friend. Forbidden Knowledge by Kathleen Marden. And in there, she's got over 100 questions that we asked the Council of 8 with the answers that they gave. So if I hadn't been asked to go down to that conference and then meet Dr. Melanie Barton, Kathleen Marden, Denise Stoner, we wouldn't have that book and we wouldn't have that information. So
yes, and there's different ways to channel. I have been teaching people how to channel for 15 years.
Wow.
And I channel too. However, when I channel, I'm very conscious and aware. But there's another way of channeling where you're not very conscious of this body. And then when you pop back in, people are like, was that good? What happened? So what is your experience like with channeling?
Yeah. Mine's very similar to the second one. I'm not always aware of what is happening. I know that I'm channeling, but I don't always remember. I remember little bits of it. And when I first started doing it, I was always exhausted afterwards. And I think Denise measured the air temperature when I was channeling immediately around my body, and it raised between 7 and 10 degrees. And I think I asked later why was that, and they said that the higher frequencies obviously interacting with the lower frequencies of my body, and that causes the exchange of heat.
Yes.
So I'm not always aware. That's why it's good to have we recorded them and transcribed them, and because I can't remember all of them. I remember bits, but not all of them. So that the latter one.
Right. Mm-hmm. But don't you think even if you don't remember, your cells remember the information? So it's all inside of you the whole time. You might not consciously remember.
Yeah, I suppose so. I know people do ask me, they'll say, oh, do you remember that, Kevin? And I'll say, no, I remember a little bit. Remind me, and perhaps some of the memories come back for that.
Yeah.
But that's only in the channeling. I remember all the experiences that I've had in detail, so...
What, can you repeat that? Excuse me?
Yeah, I said that I remember all the experiences that I have in detail.
Oh, the ET contact, you mean?
The ET experience.
Oh, you remember all of that? Now that's unusual. Most people don't remember all their contact.
No, but I think that's important, because I don't forget it. That's the key. And when I repeat it,
can't forget it.
It's the same story. I mean, you've got your own story. I've heard yours many times, and you just can't forget it. No, you're right, because it's so unusual, but it's a part of who we are as experiences. And I've listened to many experiences now because there are many people speaking out about it. And
isn't that wonderful?
And it is. I think it's fascinating. And as you mentioned earlier, I'm a member of the Dr. Rebecca Hardcastle Wright's exo-conscious community, and the people there, they're like myself. They've got their own contact. They've developed their psychic abilities, their psychic intelligences, their knowing, and they can ask their own guides. And what's interesting there now, Seb, is that the Council of Eight are reaching out to individuals within the exo-conscious community. So we've now got a Council of Eight meeting with the exo-conscious community, independent of me, to other individual members. Aurora Belcia is a prime example of that with the channeling. A prime example. It really supports what the Council of Eight are doing.
Yeah, Council of Eight. I was interviewed by somebody the other day, and she channels the Council of Eight, but it's not the same Council of Eight as yours. So how many Council of Eights are there? How many councils are there? How many federations are there?
Right. Well, I did ask them that. In fact, I think that was one of the questions in the questions that we asked when we were doing the channeling at my home. And the answer was there are many councils. Okay. And these councils belong to the Galactic Federation, but there are many councils. So, and
there's one Galactic Federation?
Well, that's what they said. There's a Galactic Federation, which these many councils belong to. So it's a bit like, maybe our United Nations or something. There are many members from all the different countries. So it's probably something like that. And I know when I was invited onto a craft when I was 14, and I was introduced to the Council of Eight, the amphitheatre was full. And when I went there as a 14-year-old, I thought I was being paraded as a human specimen. But I realize now they were the delegates, a bit like our, again, United Nations. At the front was the Council of Eight. Then all the delegates sat in the amphitheatre for whatever the meeting was. And the meeting was for me to be introduced to this group of 8 beings.
You had your first contact when you were a little boy in the bathtub, and you were 7 or 8, did you say?
8 years old.
Okay. And so decades and decades past, you're living your life. Did you revisit that in your mind? Did you believe it? Did you get hung up on it? Did you accept it? How did that fit into your life as you were growing up?
Well, I thought it was normal. I just accepted it. It was who I was. It was me and an extended family. Like you'd have your extended grandparents, aunts and uncles.
Yeah.
I had extended extraterrestrials. And I used to travel outside of my body from the age of 9, and I could travel at will anywhere I wanted to go. And I thought that was normal as well. And I just used it to go and visit my grandparents. Usually on a Sunday, I would relax, open my mind, and just fly over there, go into the roof. I'd sit down in a chair, looking down through the floor, and which was opaque. I could see my grandmother in the kitchen cooking, my grandfather usually either watching the TV or reading the newspaper. And it gave me great pleasure to see them there. But I always wondered what they would see if they came upstairs. I now know the answer to that. They would have seen my pure conscious energy orb, which I'd separated from my physical. And the conscious energy orbs are about 4 to 6 inches across, slightly vibrating, golden, yellow, orange in color. And when I was 9 years old, Ort, his conscious energy orb, came into my home on a Sunday and stayed there until Friday. And I suspect that they activated our DNA are encoded with light frequencies. I suspect they activated some of those light frequency codes within my DNA that allowed me to travel outside of the body, outside of the physical realm, which I've done all my life with Orton D. So in answer to your question, it's all normal to me. When I got to 17 or 18, there was nobody talking about this, nobody talking about out-of-body travel, nobody talking about extraterrestrials. And I know my mother always thought it was my imagination, so I think I couldn't ask her. So I asked family and friends, but I asked in a third party. I said, I've got a friend of mine who travels outside of his body at will, he tells me. Do you know anybody that can do that or does that? And the answer came back, no, he must be delusional or something. So then I thought, well, I'll ask Ort. So one night I went to bed, I held my hand out and said, Ort, I know there's a lot more here. Can you come and show me? He came, he took hold of my hand. I left my body. I looked down, I could see it fast asleep. We went out through the window. We just went round the subdivision. We came back into the window. I could see my body asleep, and I went back into my body. I woke up the following morning thinking, wow, that was cool. Was it a dream? Not quite sure what it was. So the following night, I tried the same again. I went to bed, I relaxed, I held my hand out. I said, oh, come and show me more. I know there's a lot more to this. So he came, he took my hand, we went out through the window, flew down into Leeds City Centre, and then we came back again. And I woke up and I'm thinking, I'm still not certain whether I'm sleepwalking or what's happening. So that day at work, I thought, I'm going to ask him again this evening. So I went to bed that night. I held out my hand, and he came, he took hold of my hand. Bearing in mind, I'm used to traveling on my own, but not with someone else. And he said, are you ready? I said, well, yeah, I've just got one thing. I'm concerned about going out through the window because we are 3 stories up and it's concrete pavement below. Can we go out through the roof? So he said yes. So we went out to the roof. So that was the beginning of the out-of-body travel with Ort, but that was part of the education into understanding consciousness. And I traveled very often with him. So, yeah.
Can anybody talk to Ort?
Yes. I've introduced him to others now. If you reach out and ask them, and I always tell people to do it when you are going to bed, because you're relaxed, your mind's open, and there are many modalities they use. And a dream state is a good modality. It's simple, it's easy, it's not frightening to people, and ask for something. They like to be asked. So if you ask, you can reach out. I've got several people now. In fact, a friend of mine Rebecca Renfro. She's just written a book. That's Rebecca. Quantum Windows and Dimensions, a Christian woman's journey of faith and ET contact.
Oh, that's interesting. Christian. Now we're bringing religion into it.
Yes. And
okay, I have a lot to say about that.
I do, yes. She mentioned importantly in here.
Oh, okay. So can you just give us a phrase or a question or a request that we can say? Is it just as simple as, Art, I want to talk to you, please? Like that?
Yeah, that would do, yes. Art, I've heard Kevin speaking today, and he says that we can make contact with you. Can you connect with me? I'd like to.
Oh, okay. Well, if any listeners or watchers, viewers, try that. And if you have success, please let us know. I would like to know.
Yes, that would be cool. As I say,
cool.
Rebecca's got contact. I mean, when I met Rebecca, I just happens to be a good friend of Kathleen Marden. So it seems to keep going around in the circles, really, with people who have the contact. But yeah.
All right. So I saw you channel. I was in Florida. I was staying a few days with Kathy, and there was a group of us, and you came and you sat on the couch and you started to channel. And yeah, something happened. I could feel it. The energy in the room changed. And you changed. Not physically, but just the way you spoke and the things you said. And it was very clear to me that something was going on. And I asked a bunch of questions. I think most of them were scientific in nature because I tend to go there. And you answered all of them. And it was really a beautiful thing to witness, because not only is it a visual event, just watching you channel and your body and how you act and how you talk, but feeling the change in energy in the room that adds to the experience. And you channeled for quite a while. And I just remember thinking, whoa, this is a real thing. I just experienced something where we crossed dimensional lines. We were playing through the quantum field through you. And I'm really grateful that I got to witness that. Now, how often do you channel for the public?
Oh, I do occasionally. It is occasionally now. I think most of the work was with Kathleen Marden, Denise Stoner, and Dr. Melanie Barton for this book. I'm sure that's what the reason for it. As I said earlier, we met at my home once a month on a Saturday over a 2-year period. So we could ask the Council of 8 these questions, and I'll say the answers are in that book there, or some of the questions, some of the answers.
Yes.
Well, I have done other channels elsewhere, but I don't get asked to do too many now. I was asked, actually, from the other perspective, the Council of 8 wished me to channel to the exo-conscious community. They asked. So there's a few of us meeting at Gary's home in Ocala, which is not far from where I live. And I did a channel there. And you can see that channel if you go on to the exoconscioushumans.com website, go to the YouTube channel and videos that it's been uploaded to. And I think he talks there about the Pleiades system and the 7 sisters. It's quite an interesting channel. It's quite in-depth, but it was specifically for the exo-conscious community. But if I remember correctly, the Kathleen Marden was mentioned, Denise Stoner, a bit because of all the work that they'd done. And now I said that they were extending that work with the exo-conscious community. So you can see there's a journey here. It's a journey. So if you're interested, go and have a look at that. It's only about 22 minutes, I think I'm not certain now, but it's on there.
Is that new?
I did it last year sometime, about 12
Oh,
months.
okay. Because I did see a video of you channeling. I think it was very old. I think it was when you were first channeling.
Oh, okay. There's a few.
All right. I like to play devil's advocate. When it comes to channeling, some people think it's bogus, you're making it up, you're delusional. What are your answers to all of that?
That's your opinion. You're quite entitled to it. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter to me as an individual. I'm not trying to persuade anybody. I'm not trying to educate anybody. I'm just the messenger. So I will give the information. You do with it what you want. If you think it's all made up, if you think I'm delusional, I'm happy with that. I have no problems with that. I'm happy with who I am. And I'm happy on this journey that I'm on, because I meet so many amazing people. And let me tell you why I speak out. Because about 7-8 years ago, bearing in mind, I've got this lifelong contact with them. They're part of my extended family. They help me when I need help and things. And I got up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. I came back from the bathroom. I got into bed. And I was just about to snuggle down, and a bright light appeared outside the bedroom window. It then came into the bedroom, lit up the bedroom like a myriad of butterflies, but it was just pure white light. And then Orton D materialized at the bottom of the bed. After pleasantries, I asked what was the reason for their visit. And they said, Kevin, we want you to talk about your lifelong contact with us. We want you to write about your lifelong contact with us. I said, well, I don't mind speaking about it, but I'm not a writer. They said that we will continue to guide you. We will continue to teach you, and we'll give you some information to include in the book. So the following morning, I started writing Spiritual Consciousness, A Personal Journey, which includes some of the experiences that I've spoken about today. But I said to Art, I said, but people won't believe me. And he said, Kevin, it doesn't matter whether people believe you or not. What is important is that you tell your story. I now understand that, because by speaking out, I've met so many people, so many other experiences, and I wouldn't be talking to you today. I wouldn't have met you. And all these people enhance my life because I speak out about it and I share the messages. And it's up to the individual whether they believe it, they're skeptic or whatever. It doesn't really matter. I have a friend.
Yes, I'm glad you said that, because since I've come out, I was so afraid to come out, thinking that I would lose all my clients, my life would suck, nobody would like me, I would lose my family and friends, but none of that happened. And it's really one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah, and don't you think now we're all part of our own extended family of experiences? And we've all got, when you speak to other experiences, we've all got a lot of the same information, a little bit here, a little bit there, and you put it together and you see the whole picture. And it's leading us to become exo-conscious humans, shall we say, to where we can communicate with our extended star families at their level of consciousness. And that's what it's all about, really.
Kevin, I'd like your ideas or your thoughts, and maybe the Council of Eight's thoughts too, if you discuss this, about the military whistleblowers that are coming out. I'd like to do a show about this, actually, because I have a lot to say about them. And especially the latest one that has made the word psionics famous, and how he claims that through psionics, ships are being shot down. Can you talk about that?
I can do a little bit. I don't know much about any ships being shot down. It's not something I've discussed with the Council of Eight. I am aware of the psionics now, which is really electronic engineering, which is what we do naturally. I don't need psionics because I use my psychic abilities. I use my psychic intelligence. I use my knowing.
I think that's what they mean by psionics. Isn't psionics just like a military word for psychic ability?
No. That's what people don't understand. Oh. They're talking about the electronics of psionics. They're not talking about psychic abilities.
But it's through the psychic connection having an effect on the electrical system of the ship?
No, not that I'm aware of. No.
Okay.
There's two different paths. The path of the psionics with the augmentation, with the robotics, with the AI. I don't use any of that. I can communicate with a craft. I can go onto a craft. I can create craft if I want to do. I don't use psionics for doing that.
Yeah,
Psychic,
right.
psychic.
It makes it more complicated.
It makes it.
And
And if society, we're in a point of transhumanism, and society, if it becomes dependent on the psionics, then you lose all your electronics. You can no longer connect with the extraterrestrials. I, on the other hand, cannot lose my psychic abilities. It's like riding a bicycle. Once you ride a bicycle, you don't fall off again. So people are not aware that they are two separate areas of communicate. And I'm not saying you can't do it, as they're saying, with all the electronics. Yes, you can. But you have to choose which path that you want. Do you want to go down that path of transhumanism using the electronics, or do you want to go down the psychic, the advancement, the evolution of humanity's own abilities to become a part of the Galactic Federation?
yes, and the fact that we're using psionics to bring these ships down, I think it's disgusting. No one's talking about the beings that might be in these ships. I mean, there's no talk about beings at all. We're always talking about these spaceships, but no one ever talks about the beings in them. Are there beings that they're also psionically shooting down? And I don't know if you saw his interview, his complete interview. We're talking about Jake Barber. In it, he said, I found this very interesting. Well, we probably already know this, that the people who were most effective in doing the psionic work were gay men, children, and women. And then he said something which I was like, whoa, what? He said that when the psionic person makes a contact with the ship to lure them to be shot down, which, like I said, I think is horrendous. He also said we learned that the person connecting with them had to disassociate with them, had to remove their consciousness from them, maybe. I'm not quite sure if you use those words, because if the person was still connected to the ship when they shot it down, the person would have a difficult time. Now, that doesn't even make sense to me. Does that make sense to you?
No, not at all. No.
Okay.
And if you listen to the words that you're using, lure down, shoot them down, disconnect. These are all negative frequencies. Words have frequencies of consciousness, and we have to be careful how we use them. And if you use them in the negative way, which is what they're doing in relation to bringing in this psionics, we're going down the road where the whistleblowers want us to go, where the people that control humanity at the moment want us to go. Okay, right. We want to be independent. I want to continue to evolve. I would like everybody to be able to communicate with their deceased family and friends, as I do. I would like everybody to learn about how to communicate using consciousness, how to travel using consciousness, how to be educated using consciousness, how to heal yourself and others using consciousness. And then the creation and co-creation side of consciousness, that's who we are evolving as a species if we go down the route of my route, as it were, not mine, because there's a lot of other people that are already doing this. But then we've got the whistleblowers, the governments are going down the route of the psionics, two different paths. And if you listen to that channel, Ra speaks about the two paths that run side by side. And I suspect these are the two paths that we are running side by side.
Mm-hmm. Are we at a fork in the road?
Yes, we are at a fork. And I think there may well be, some people will go down the fork to the left-hand side with the psionics, and others will go down the path. And there may well be a split within the dimensions, depending on how many people join that particular fork. But I suspect...
Wouldn't that be wonderful if you and I took the right fork and there was no such thing as military whistleblowers in the right fork?
Exactly.
Yay!
We create our own reality. And once you understand that, then we can create what we want. And this is what they don't want us to learn and know, because if we cannot be controlled then, because they have no control. People can't tell me what to think. People can't tell me to leave my body and go and travel with Contactee on the astral plane in a conscious craft, because I could choose to do that if I want to. Nobody can stop me from doing that. And even, when you die, I understand my conscious energy continues. I've met with my deceased family going back over 30 years, 30 generations, with out of body. Over a 2-year period, I did that. And I got very comfortable that I was able to do that on my own. This is a side of humanity that we need to develop and evolve as a species if we are going to become a truly independent galactic species and not be controlled by the electronics, by the psionics, by the electronic engineering. We need to be
more natural.
Natural.
Let's be more natural.
And I'm a prime example of that. And there are others. I listen to other people that have got similar experiences to me. And I'm sure there will be this choice, this divide, this fork, and we will make our own choices, our own paths, depending on the knowledge that we have or depending on the information that we have. Yeah.
Do you think Trump has anything to do with disclosure?
Personally, yes, I do. How? I don't know. I do know that in his last presidency, I was asked by the Council of 8 to send some information to President Trump then. I wrote to him. I know that the White House received it because they confirmed that they received it. Whether he read it or not, I don't know. I was asked again to write to him. I wrote to him again. So I don't know whether, and I speak about that in a channel in 2018 in the conference in Miami. I channel Ra again there, and he describes how the reveal will happen. I sent all the information to him then. I didn't receive a reply. I wasn't expecting it, but I'm surprised that they asked me to do it. And I was reluctant because I don't want to get involved in politics and things. But then they asked me again. So I wrote the letter. I included some other information I had, and I sent it off to him on 2 occasions. So he does have it. So I think because of that, why did they ask me to do that? I was once asked by Contactee to give some information to a Dr. Stephen Greer. Now, again, I was traveling outside of my body on the astral plane. Contactee came alongside in a conscious craft. I was invited onto the craft, and I went through the skin of the craft, and I feel it was conscious. And they said they wanted me to give some information to a Dr. Stephen Greer. And I said, yes, I would. So anyway, I left the craft. And then I thought, oh, well, he'll want to know who it's from. And so I went back on the craft, and I said, who shall I say it's from? I can't say the message is from Contactee because he won't know who they are. They said, tell him it's from the light beings. This is just really an example of communication. And so I said, right, okay. So I went back into my body. I woke up I woke up, I wrote the message down, went back to sleep, woke up in the morning, I read the message, and I screwed it up. I said, I'm not going to do that. Threw it in the trash. But I'm going to contact a guy who I don't know, I know of him, and tell him I'm traveling outside of my body on the astral plane in a craft as a pure conscious energy. When 2 light beings gave me a message for you, and this is a message, you'd think I'm bonkers. So I said I wasn't going to do it. The following night, they came to me in a dream, another modality of contact, and Contactee explained why it was important to share that message. So I did. I didn't know how to contact him. And I'm always assisted. So I went onto YouTube, put in his name, and a conference came up. And at that conference, I think it was a press conference. A guy sat next to Stephen Greer, was a police officer in the same area in the UK where I was a police officer. So I thought, that's the connection. So I contacted him, and I thought, I'm not going to type all this out. I asked for his phone number, and we had a conversation. long story short, he conveyed the information to Dr. Stephen Greer, and I got a reply, or he got a reply back within 20 minutes, and he sent a photo of a light being he had taken while he was in the field doing some research.
I think I've seen that picture.
Okay, so the point of the message is, why did the Council of Eight want me? I did ask them. I said, why did you want me to give such a difficult message to somebody? Or I thought it was difficult. And they said, we wanted to see if you would convey messages from us. So it's another lesson. But again, you know, is that why they asked me to contact Donald Trump? They knew I didn't want to do it, but clearly I did it because they asked. So that's the reason why I think he'll be involved. Some president has to be, and he has such a huge ego. I'm sure he would love to. He would go. Whoever discloses it will go down in history as the most famous president. And I'm sure President Trump has got a huge ego. He would love that.
Doesn't he publicly say he doesn't believe?
I don't know. I don't really watch what he says.
You know who was it his uncle? When Tesla died, he went into his hotel room and cleaned up the hotel room. I think it was his uncle.
Now then, I think you are. Yes, I do remember reading something or watching something about that.
Yeah.
But I don't follow him per se, you know.
Okay, so there's something there in the family. Yes, he knows something.
Well,
but does he care? I don't know.
I don't know. Well, you can't read him, can you? But I think history, I don't know if it's already written or not. Or I know we can change the future because we are the creators and co-creators. And I've seen that with many things in relation to. In fact, I was given. This is interesting because it's probably not normally what your guests talk about. But I was contacted by a guy called Sperry Andrews. Unfortunately, he's passed now. But he was a leading scientist in consciousness. Leading scientist. Many papers he'd written. And he contacted me after he saw me give a presentation or an interview. And he asked me to ask Orton D. He's a leading scientist, asking me to ask Orton D what they knew about the void. I wasn't aware of that void at the time. So I asked them, and they gave me an equation for the void of consciousness with an explanation of how timelines are created, how timelines are co-created. I gave the information to Sperry Andrews. He understood the equation, which I thought was fascinating. So again, they're reaching out to others through me with information. I don't always know why, but it was fascinating. In fact, what if one of those portraits by Aurora Bell-Sear on the T-shirt of Zark, who's a scientist and engineer, is the equation for the void of consciousness.
Oh, okay.
Roll that onto the T-shirt of Zark, so you can see the inside how all this information is being manipulated and brought together. They are co-creating or creating something in the future, which I believe, I know my mission here is to help to facilitate the reveal. I don't know how I'm going to do that other than by discussing and telling my lifelong story. But then there are the connections. If you start at the beginning and look at my story, how it interacts with other people's story, like your story, Seth. They woke you up on purpose so you could do this work, so you could be an important part of the reveal by sharing the information with others.
Yeah, Kevin, I've been doing this for 8 years and I have wanted to quit so many times. I can't even tell you. Have you ever felt like that?
No.
That's nice.
No, because I don't really do a great deal. I
Yes, you do.
I do a bit of writing. I go on to podcasts and things, but I'm retired, so I've got plenty of time. And I found out people are interested in this subject, so I like talking about it because it can help other people in relation to evolving as a human and help them within the physical realm down here. It's very difficult here on Earth for many people.
Oh, yeah.
So it's if I can help one person, I'm happy doing that.
It is an honor to talk to an experiencer and help them process. That's how I see it. I love working with experiencers. It's, to me, one of the most important things that I do, to be able to help someone maybe change their perspective so they can see that they don't have to be afraid of it, and they can realize how much they learned from it and how it can help them and it can better their lives.
Yes, without a doubt.
What do you say to people who want to make contact and can't or don't, and they get frustrated?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Just persevere, really. Just keep asking, relax, don't be demanding. I have a friend of mine, Mash. And,
Don't be demanding.
No, he's not demanding. No, he was always a skeptic. A skeptic. Never believed in ETs or UFOs. He's a good friend. He's a retired detective from the UK. He still comes over and visits he's already been for 2 weeks. He's coming again in September. And one day we were sat by my pool, his wife and my wife, and I asked him if he wanted a beer. And he said yes. So I went inside to get a beer. As I reached into the fridge, I said to the councillor, now will be a good time to show him a craft. So I went outside, I put the beers down, sat down, and the craft appeared at the back of our property. All four of us saw it. He was absolutely gobsmacked, but it changed his reality. From being a skeptic, he now did his own research. In fact, last time he came, he said, Kevin, can we do a C5? Can we see if we can ask them to come and see us? So he now believes, and I think that's what.
Well, what did you see that was so convincing to him?
What? Oh, I didn't say anything. He saw the craft.
No, see. What did you see? What appeared?
It was a craft. It was like a round circular thing, and then it darted here, darted there, went over here, went over there, and just
was it at night?
No, it's in the afternoon, late afternoon it was. So it's in daylight, and it was below the tree line, about 500 yards from where we were sat on the edge of my property.
Mm-hmm.
But it changed his whole perspective, and he believes he had another visit. When another time after that, he was staying with us, and he was woken up in the middle of the night. Huge bright light outside the bedroom. We're in the country. We're on a dirt road. You don't get any traffic at night. And even so, it wouldn't shine in that particular bedroom window. So I suspect he had another visit that night as well. So he's now interested in the extraterrestrials, but that's part of his journey in waking up to a greater reality, going back to Ray Nander's book.
So when I was in MUFON, there were a lot of policemen in there, a lot of military men in there. Well, women too, but it was predominantly men. Why is that?
I've no idea. I've no idea at all. I don't know. But it is interesting that I've been connected with members of MUFON, like Kathleen Marden, Denise Stoner, all members of MUFON, sorry.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. No, they've all moved on to other things now, haven't they? But that might be because of the restrictions that they're putting on. They perhaps don't want the information to come out. They want the military because they'll do as they're told. And I don't know. I don't have a great deal to do with them, but they have done a lot of work in the past in relation to bringing it to the attention. They've had a lot of investigators do work and things. So everybody.
Yeah, MUFON. I have a lot of good things to say about MUFON. I don't diss MUFON. MUFON was a very important part of my life.
Yeah. Well, it is a part of mine now because they are. The council asked me to go to the MUFON conference. I would never have gone, but I went, and by going, I met Kathleen, Denise, Melanie, and then you, and then others. Because so if they wanted me to go, they realised the importance of MUFON, and MUFON are very important to many people, and they do a lot of good work. Yes, so again, it's bringing all the different groups together for this big reveal, when and how, and we don't have to use the psionics because we've got friends. Gary, he does his C5. Say, can you show yourself? Yeah. I've got another friend. She'll go to the C5 and she'll get a telepathic message. No psionics in it. And they say, point your camera over there and take a picture. She looks up, can't see anything, takes a picture. There's a craft on it, or an orb, a red orb, a blue orb. We don't need these psionics. They're telling us how to do it. We're already doing it. We have been doing it using our natural human psychic intelligence, psychic abilities, knowing, using consciousness, part of our consciousness.
Do you think the whistleblowers are intentionally leading us astray, or do you think they're telling the truth?
Leading us astray. Oh, no,
Yeah.
leading us down a narrative that they want. They're creating a new reality.
Yes.
So
It's not
that's
nice.
fine. They have the choice to do that. There's no problem with that. I'm creating my reality with the exo-conscious community, with other experiences. They're creating their reality,
Mm-hmm.
the psionics, with the electronic engineering, with the AI. And that's fine. I have no problems with that. We have choices. As human beings, we have choices, and we make our bed and lie in it, as my mother used to say.
Mm-hmm. Why would someone want to make contact with an ET?
Well, that's a good question. Well, I wanted to make contact because I wanted more information. I wanted to know how and why I'm traveling outside of my body, which I think is just normal, and nobody talks about it. It's forbidden. It's almost taboo. So I asked Contactee. So that's why I wanted. I was very inquisitive as a child and always wanted more information. And we didn't have the internet then. I suppose I could have gone to the library, but now we've got all this, the internet, Google, Wikipedia, all this. Now Chat GPT, whatever they call it. I've got friends that go on there, and the information, the conversations that they're having are just amazing. So, but again, that's part of the psionic side, and it's really social engineering using the psionics, where my path is the evolution of humanity, the evolution of individuals. And that's my choice. I choose to do that because I see the benefits that I've had. Just remembering your past lives, just being shown my future incarnation.
Can you tell us what that is?
I can tell you what they showed me. I was on vacation in Brazil. I was an English guy. I was a member of a rugby team, and one of the members was getting married. So they had a stag celebration. That's where they go out to celebrate the wedding or future wedding. And we were going to Brazil. So the whole rugby team went to Brazil. It was the Mardi Gras, and there was a big parade coming down the parade, down the street, sorry. And there was this beautiful woman at the front of the parade. I thought, wow, she's beautiful. I'd like to meet her. And I'm about 21, I think. And anyway, the parade goes past, and then later evening, the celebrations continue to go on. And then we're all out in the streets celebrating. And I see this woman, and I walk up to her and speak to her and introduce myself. And I end up marrying her. But what I also found out, the soul of that person is the same soul that's in Sandy now. So it's
Sandy, your wife.
It's a continuation of that.
So we talk about that as if it's in the future, but everything's happening now. So that life is happening now. You're just not consciously focused on it. Is that how you see it?
I think they're probably two different timelines. Like you say, everything is happening now within consciousness itself. And that's why they're able to show you that. So that, I'm sure. I've met people who, the husband and wife, and both of them remember their past lives together. I've also met a couple who only the male remembered their past life together. And I met another couple who the female only remembered the past lives together. But the thing is, they remembered the past lives. And and I remember 3 of mine, and I've been shown one in the future. Because really, we are spiritual beings who has a physical body for a while.
Yeah, I've seen some of my lives too.
Oh, okay.
I see them in like video form.
Okay.
Right? Is that how you saw it, like in a video?
Exactly. I see that.
Yeah, it's really clear.
Like
very,
turning on
very
the TV and watching a screen.
Yes.
Like you now, it's as clear as that. But you see, that's developing your psychic abilities, your ability to see without the using your eyes, as it were. But yeah, when I get telepathic communication, I receive obviously the information. I also get a visual, which is like watching a TV screen. And I also get the emotions that come through from the person that I'm communicating with the immediate surroundings where they are, whether they're in a craft or in a room or what, and the people that they were with. So yeah, but those are, again, natural human abilities. I don't need to pick up the phone to speak to my extended star families. So hopefully we'll see. Interesting as well, we've got these telepathy tapes that have all been published now by Dr. Diana Hennessy Powell. And that's talking about the telepathic abilities of our autistic members. So we do have that ability. You just have to...
It's nice that it's going mainstream, even though many of us have known about this for a long time. And we've been waiting for this moment where it goes more mainstream. But we also have to be, as an individual, we have to be, in my opinion, very discerning as to the information. And I pay a lot of attention to how that person and their information makes me feel. So if I feel like I'm aligned with them and I feel like their message is aligned with me, then I'm like, okay, I trust this person. But if I feel any kind of discomfort or disconnect with someone or their message, I'm like, okay, this person's not for me. I'm not discounting them. They're just not for me.
Yes.
Is that what you do?
Oh, exactly. Without a doubt. It's a natural human intuition and knowing. Yeah. Once you access and allow the intuition, allow the knowing, then we evolve. And you can still listen to what they say. You can take it in, but you don't have to act upon it. You have your own opinions. You get to a point that I call I am, where I'm happy with who I am. I know where I am, and I'm happy with that. So,
that almost makes me want to cry. That's what everybody wants.
Well, perhaps I'm very fortunate, but I have had guides that have helped me get to this position.
Yes.
It's not always easy, as you know, Seb. It does go down, but at this juncture in time, I'm happy where I am, and I hope I can continue my way.
That's beautiful, Kevin, because I have clients around the world who come to me in search of being happy with who they are, and it's a work. It takes work to get there, and a lot of my help came from my ETs.
There we are, you see. So if you can open up that connection, and we've all got guides from the spirit realm, from the ETs, from the angelic realm. There are many forms of contact. So just you can and the information's out there, but you have to do the work yourself, which you said earlier. You have to do the work in doing that searching and going and asking the right people, and then, like you say, be discerning with the information you get, because I've noticed recently there's a lot of disinformation, misinformation now coming out, even using the words like psionic. I'm sure there's many people like you thinking psychic abilities, developing psychic intelligence so you can communicate with the extraterrestrials, but it's not. It's the...
But there is a psychic component involved, because they have these people psychically connecting to something.
Okay, well, I'd have to look into that. But the way I saw it and I interpreted it, it was purely artificial.
There's human beings involved.
Okay, yeah.
And that's why Jake Barber said the best ones are children, gay men, and women, because they can connect the easiest.
Well, I know that's rubbish to start with.
Right. It's everybody, not just them.
What they're trying to do is isolate it. Social engineering. Let's just include children, gay people, and women, whatever. Yeah. No, we can all do it. Women, children, men, gay people, whoever wants to do it, we can do it. Don't let them
Animals do it.
Yeah,
everything does it.
Animals do it. Yeah, animals connect with them.
Yeah.
Once you realize that, I mean, my brother he was a aircraft engineer, very successful, had his own business, and he retired down to Spain. And he said to me one day, I speak to him regularly. He He said, "Oh, Kevin, you should see the size of the butterflies here in Spain. They're huge, as big as your hand." I said, "Well, why don't you go out onto your balcony and ask it to come and land on your hand?" Being a nuts and bolts man, he said, "They won't do that." I said, "Well, indulge me." I said, "Go out." So I went out onto the balcony, and he overlooks the Mediterranean there, bright sunshine. I said, "Right, when a butterfly comes past, hold your hand out and ask it to come and land on your hand." But I said, "You'll need a reason. Say you want to have a look at the beautiful colours on its wings." So he went outside, he held his hand, and I've got photographs of these. A butterfly came past, he asked it, it flew out of sight, turned round, came back, and landed on his fingers.
Aww.
I said, "Right, now what you need to do," this is an example of communication using consciousness, and you can't do this with electronics. This is consciousness. I said, "Right, now what you need to do, you want to ask it to fly away, come back with a friend, but you need a reason. And the reason is you want to compare the beautiful colours on the friend's wings." So it took off, it flew out of sight, it come back, it landed on his fingers, and the second one came and landed on his forehead. So he looked at it. He had 12 landings of butterfly on him that day because he allowed it, he created it. We co-created that together using consciousness. Now I call him the butterfly whisperer. The following day, I think he was bragging, he was showing off to his wife. He said, "Come on, Lorraine, let's go outside and I'll get the butterflies to come and land on you." So they went outside, the butterfly came past. He asked the butterfly with a reason. It came and she had 2 or 3 butterflies land on, one on her glasses, and a couple on her arm. And he still does it. I was speaking to him the other day, and he went out with a friend, and she said to him, "There's no butterflies here, are there?" Because she'd heard his story. I think she was a bit of a skeptic.
Yeah, butterflies are spirit animals.
Yeah,
That's
exactly,
such a wonderful story.
Exactly. Anyway, so he asked the butterflies to come and show themselves, and the butterfly came and landed on a flower next to his friend. So, but people don't realize that consciousness is in the plants, the trees, the animals, humans, in the planets, in the sun. And once we realize that, once we educate ourselves to the fact that we are connected, and there are many signs within nature that we miss because we're not open to them. We don't see.
Yeah, we're not looking. We're not even aware, right?
We're not looking.
So, Kevin, please tell us how everyone can get in touch with you. What do you have coming up?
Oh, okay. Get in touch with me. My email is kevinjamesbriggs@gmail.com. I have a website, which is just the initial jbriggs.com. There's a couple of channels on there. I've uploaded some other interviews. I've mentioned Ray Hernandez's book, A Greater Reality.
Yeah.
Okay, it's volume 5. He's got a pilot film coming out later this year and a TV documentary series. I appear in that as well, so I'm looking forward to that. And Ray asked me to be a contributing author, so I've got a chapter in volume 5. And Melanie Barton, she's got a chapter in volume 5, and her chapter leads to my chapter. So again, it's that big family all coming together, all sharing the information. So yeah, anybody wants any more information or just wants some advice or something, kevinjamesbriggs@gmail.com.
All right, Kevin, thank you so much. I enjoyed this very much. You know, I'm very fond of you. You're beloved. I've never heard a single negative word about you. Nothing. Everybody loves you.
Well, thank you very much for that. And I do appreciate yourself because, you know, without you sharing this information, inviting me on your show, I can't get the information out there. So I should be thanking you as well. And you're a great friend.
That's so sweet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and listening.